Getting wins and kills in Warzone 2 is not easy. So in this video today, I've decided to bring you guys a definitive early look at the best practices in Warzone 2 and things that you can do to massively elevate your game and perform better. After 2 days of straight testing and playing, I'm ready to give you guys some information that I think will genuinely make a difference, and a couple of settings and things that people have missed out on that will make a massive difference to how your gameplay will work. If you end up finding this video helpful, please subscribe as you'll see more content like this tailored towards making you better at the game, and of course it does support the channel and we're really close to 100k, and consider dropping a like as well. So to start with, before you dive into any game of Warzone 2, there is a setting that you should change whether you're on controller or on mouse and keyboard. Now this is a little bit weird because it's a setting which for whatever reason affects controller and mouse and keyboard, even though it's just in the controller settings for the game. And that is the interaction/reload behavior. Now this setting right here is going to make looting in Warzone 2 substantially easier, and is very similar to the contextual tap setting from Warzone 1. So what this does, either on mouse and keyboard or on controller, means that when you tap a certain button around you for interacting with loot, backpacks, and weapons on the ground, a single tap will do the job, whereas holding down the button will force a reload. So if you're on controller, that's either square or X, a single tap will pick up something, holding down the button forces a reload. And with this setting, you can effectively start speed looting some of these backpacks and other items that you find on walls and in various containers, because a single tap of the button will open that item, and then various taps of the button will instantly swap over the equipment that you have in that inventory space. And as a fun fact, if your 3 plates at the bottom of your screen are completely empty, those will automatically refill by pressing on a backpack or opponent who has that equipment, or if you're in an area with plates around you, they will automatically be picked up. The quickest way to get into the action in Warzone 2 is to buy one of your loadout weapons. Now in the loadout system, whichever gun is placed in your primary slot will be available in the buy station segment with the custom attachments already attached to it for $5,000. So it's always good to have a couple of spare loadout slots further back that have things like SMGs, secondary weapons, sniper support weapons, whilst in your first couple of slots having things like long-range assault rifles, long-range LMGs, and sniper rifles, so that you have the ability to buy both of the weapons if you find 10 grand, or buy one of them at a time depending on what you need. So when you first leave the plane in Warzone 2, I highly recommend looking around for what's known as a safe cracker contract, and these are high loot contracts which effectively have replaced scavengers from Warzone 1. You'll get 3 safes in fairly close proximity, and not only do these safes contain really good loot such as plate vests and also money, but you also get a cash reward for completing that contract, and then that should basically propel your entire team closer to having $5,000, and then when you get to the buy station, depending on what weapons you've found and looted so far, you can pick up an alternative weapon. For example, if I found a decent SMG in ground loot, I can pick up one of my long-range assault rifles. Or if I already have a really decent long-range AR or a really good LMG, I can pick up one of my loadout weapon SMGs to support that. So drop in, land on a safe cracker, sort that out, and then instantly go and buy your weapons. This will get you into the action much quicker and allow you to start engaging squads to build up more cash, or engaging in AI objectives like strongholds to get yourself a bunch of loadout drops and perks, which is really cool. Another side pro tip for this is that, like I mentioned, you want a couple of weapons as the primary weapon later on in your custom loadouts, things like SMGs, sniper support weapons. Just having a good variation of primary weapons will allow you to pick whatever you need at a given time. But if you're very intelligent with it, you'll make sure that one of those loadouts, which has a secondary weapon like an SMG or a sniper support weapon, also comes with a perk loadout that doesn't include overkill. So selecting something like the Commando Spec Op is a really good idea in terms of choosing your perk packages, because it means that you'll get extra bonus perks if you already have your guns and happen to run into a loadout drop later on in the game or complete a stronghold. Once you've picked out your loadout weapons, the easiest way to find player interactions is by either getting into an elevated position and looking for weapon tracers in the sky, or directly going for a bounty contract to hunt down another team. And that will get you lots of quick succession gunfights, and generally increase the pace of the game and make it a little bit more action-packed. One of the things that will make a substantial difference to your gameplay in Warzone 2 is completely changing how you approach buildings. In Warzone 1, it was very simple. There was very usually one door, one ladder or stairway, and that's the kind of approach that you would normally take. And traditionally, it meant that people were holding angles, holding corners, or holding staircases to make it almost impossible for you to get a couple of wins. But in Warzone 2, you have a much wider toolset, and there's a couple of things including movement here to note as well. For example, being able to mount into windows that you previously couldn't reach by pulling yourself up on them is a massive difference that will make a big change to your flanking gameplay, as well as the ability to utilize that to pull up onto objects that are below you by jumping up from a position above. You can effectively do a pull-up on any given windowsill, ledge, or any different balcony that you happen to see, so long as you can reach the general area with a jump. In a game where most of the buildings have multiple windows, multiple ladders, multiple zip lines, and multiple entryways, going through conventional ways such as going up a staircase or going up a specific ladder probably isn't going to get you many kills. But dropping into lots of different positions is a really good idea, and approaching these buildings from different directions will definitely confuse your opponents. It's the early days of Warzone 2, and there are loads of different types of buildings, so finding ways to manipulate that and just confuse people early on is a really good way of guaranteeing a kill or two before you get killed yourself. In Warzone 2, positioning matters a lot more than movement, and it matters a lot more than your accuracy and ability to win a gunfight. So getting into a good position early on can really help you. In a single circle, it's fairly easy to predict the center of the zone and where it might pull, because you can kind of see the centralized area, and normally the center of the circle doesn't pull away too far. Now, in a situation where you have 2 or 3 circles that split up into each other, you can effectively predict where the circle is going to be by choosing a position between either the 3 locations or the 2 locations. If it's a 3-location circle, it's going to form in the middle of those circles, whereas if it's a 2-location circle, it will either form in the middle, slightly above the middle, or slightly below the middle in terms of the x-axis, meaning that ultimately you're going to get a circle that is somewhere roughly along the 2. Combining these things together means that you can get into early strong positions, good buildings, good rooftops, and generally good cover that's going to make a difference to your gameplay. Another major thing that can make a big difference to your gameplay is the ability to stow extra items in your backpack. Not only can you bring self-revives and plate satchels to your teammates, but you can also put extra kill streaks in the backpack to use later if you want to. On controller, you simply have to press down on the D-pad in order to activate this and move one of the kill streaks on the ground into your backpack and save it as a spare item. Feasibly, you could also save extra plates, up to 12 or 15 if you wanted to, and you could also save extra things like self-revives if you so happen to come across them. If you run into a revive pistol, keep this on you, because not only does a fully charged one count as an entire self-revive, but you can revive 4 teammates from distance without having to go up and tap them by hitting them with one of these revive shots. Finally, for Warzone 2, my major pro tip is to utilize the vehicles around you. There are loads of them, there are tons of different types, be it light helicopters, heavy helicopters, trucks, cars, and everything in between. Some of them are more heavily armored than others, which is more useful, but all of them will get you around the map much quicker than being on foot, which at the moment is the slowest form of transportation. I also forgot to mention proxy chat, and this is something that you definitely want to have on because it's a bit of fun, but I would definitely switch it to push to talk if you can on PC to make sure you don't accidentally give away your position to some enemy players in your area. And it's also a really good way to troll or intimidate nearby players and make them give up their location. That's about it for this video today, folks. Hopefully these quick tips will definitely help you improve your game at Warzone 2. If they did, please drop a like on this video and consider subscribing as well. We're really close to 100k, and it would mean a lot. And if you want to see more content like this, be it loadouts, tips and tricks, or pro guides, this channel is the place to be for Warzone 2. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you again in the next one.